Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here today on this Mindset and Motivation Monday on the Cabral Concept. Today's topic is getting into the creating of the 2.0 version of you. Why this is so important and so pertinent is that we need to begin to assess our life every 30 days and if not every 12 weeks maximum. The reason why we want to do that is that if we start to go down the wrong path, or even more so, that I think most of us are kind of staying on the path that we've been on, right? Maybe not making too many zigs or zags, but it's not leading to the life that we believe we should be living. It's not leading towards our true potential. We don't see a deeper level of passion or enthusiasm or maybe even contentment with our life. And so if we're where we were 30 days ago, we have to ask ourselves, is that a good thing? Meaning like, was life so great 30 days ago that you just now have more of it? Then that's fantastic. But if it's not, and you're where you were 30 days ago, or maybe even worse off, we need to start to look at why that is the case. Now, we can always blame outside circumstances. And you know what? Sometimes it's easy to blame outside circumstances. Sometimes those outside circumstances are pretty debilitating, to be honest with you, in order to move forward. Everybody has hardships. There's no doubt about that. But what seems to happen in many people's lives, and I've had the opportunity to work with tens of thousands of people personally, and with my team, hundreds of thousands of people, is that for many people, when they seem to be in a bit of a funk, bad things happen to them consistently, over and over and over. So much so that that proverbial rain cloud seems to always be above their head. And as they say, if it's not one thing, it's another. And what I want to share with you is that the only way that we are ultimately able for any one of us to move forward in life from out from under that rain cloud is to begin to create a new identity, to create a new version of us. Now, before we get there, because I know it sounds complicated and it's not once you start to learn the steps to get there, is that it first comes down to disidentifying with who you currently are. And again, I know that that doesn't make sense at first, but who you believe you are, right? That's what's most important. Not necessarily who others believe that you are, it's who you believe you are. Now, it might be based on others' views, there's no doubt about that, right? But who you believe you are allows you to take the actions on a daily basis that still continues to reinforce the life that you already have. Because we know that the only way to end up with a new life is to take different actions. The problem is, many people are not necessarily interested in taking different actions because their thoughts remain the same. And if your thoughts are the limiting factor because of who you believe you are and what you identify with, you will continue to take the same actions that reinforce the identity of who you believe you are. So some of those examples are, you're beginning a wellness-based program and the first week's going great. You checked in with your practitioner, you're taking your nutritional supplements, you're eating better, whatever it might be. And then, something happened at work, you had to stay late, and then you ordered takeout, you forgot your supplements, you're not feeling so well now, you're feeling a little bit more bloated. The next day comes around, you forget your morning supplements, you're stressed because you still have that same project that you're working on. Next thing you know, 3 days later have passed, you're off the wagon, as they say, in terms of your nutrition, haven't taken your supplements, haven't got your steps in, and you say, you know what, I just can't do it, right? So what was it? Well, it was work, of course, right? Work got in the way. That project got in the way. It stressed you out and it threw off your health. So it was work's fault. That is one way to look at it, right? But if you are identifying with, again, something always comes up, that you're someone that has a stressful job, that whatever it is, you continue then to get into situations. Again, like it doesn't necessarily mean it's your fault. There's no blame game here. That's not going to serve you, right? At all. Like it's not going to serve you. So we don't need to blame you. What we do need to say is that in order though, if we want a different outcome, we need different input. And so if we want to get well, we want to follow that de-stress protocol, right? The diet, the exercise, the stress reduction, the toxin removal, the rest, the emotional balance, scientifically backed supplements, and a success mindset. We want to follow that as best we can. But if we don't, the likelihood that we get healthy or lose the weight or live a long, fruitful life is much lower. It just is. So then we have to say, okay, well, my current identity and the life that I'm currently living is not allowing me to be on a trajectory in order to have those things. So what do? Do I continue to blame life? Do I continue to blame my circumstances? Or do I begin to then change my identity of who I believe I am? And part of that is who I believe the results I can get are in order to then take different actions. And let's start to explore that. So your current identity, as we know, only enables you to get certain things out of life because it has to be in step with what you believe you can achieve, right? A lot of people wish for $1 million, $10 million. I don't know what the number is that anybody wishes for anymore, but they're wishing for a certain sum of money. Then all of their problems would go away. Life would be good, all of those things. Okay, so they're wishing for it as something that's out there, not as a part of them, right? So do they believe that they can actually achieve that? The likelihood is no. If it were to fall in their lap, they would be happy. That would be great. At least, of course, temporarily, we know, right? We know all of the statistics on lottery winners is that they did not necessarily work specifically for that money. They didn't know how to properly be a steward for that money. And therefore, within 5 years or so, the majority have lost all that money. Well, the truth is, it's not radically different with what we wish for, right? We hope for. Those are not necessarily bad things, but we don't necessarily work for. And you'll know what you believe you can achieve because you're willing to work for it, right? So think about that. I wish, let's say, the person wishes for $10 million. Well, okay. There are ways that you may be able to accumulate that wealth if you really wanted to achieve it. Not necessarily easy, right? But if you believed you could achieve it, you may be working towards those steps. But if you don't believe you can actually achieve it, well, then it's just a wish, not part of the identity, right? Not going to waste your time on it. It's not different for health, right? So if you don't actually believe you can get healthy or lose the weight or whatever it might be, you're not going to put in the real effort. You might put in a little bit of effort just to say, hey, I tried it, right? I tried, did my best. I don't know if it was really your best, but you did your best, right? And it didn't work out again. It's almost kind of proving to your identity that this is who you are and where you belong. Now, the interesting thing is we pick these things up from childhood, from our community, from our friends, right? It's our circle. That's where we get these ideas. These ideas begin to form our identity when we're very young. But as an adult, we get to choose. So I ask you, what are you choosing for you? Now that you are an adult, it is time for you to choose who you are looking to be. And I'll share with you another thing, is that you might say, well, that's kind of easy for you to say, or it's easy for anybody else to say. But the thing is, it's not. Because none of us typically take outlandish risks with who we believe we are and what we believe we can do. Because most of us are not looking to move radically outside of our comfort zone. We move like one step out, like we're willing to take one step out. And that's going to be part of the process that we work through. Because it's really uncomfortable. We feel unsafe with making those big steps. But here's the big takeaway for today. And we'll start to move through those steps though in just a moment. You do not do things, so you don't do the things that you do not identify with. I just want to repeat that. You do not do the things that you do not identify with. If there's something that you really want in life, I want you to think about that right now. Amazing relationship, amazing career, financial success, abundant health, whatever it is, spirituality. There is a block right now with the way that you are thinking that is not allowing you to do the things that will lead to the better outcome. And I don't want to make it so harsh. I'm not trying to be harsh or talk down in any way, because I'm not saying that I have all this figured out. I'm working through the process and I'm on the journey of life just like you. But what I do realize is this: when I look at my life and I point to any one thing and I say, hey, this is not exactly where I want it to be, I say, well, what would get it there? And sometimes we don't know. That's why we hire a coach, right? That's why we hire a consultant or whatever it is in that particular area. Because when you don't know, you literally just need someone else's help a lot of the time. There's no doubt about that. I've always hired coaches. I've always hired, practitioners and anyone. Like I've always hired consultants because I realized that just like I have 25 years of health-based experience, well, they have 25 years or maybe even more in whatever their specialty is. But I don't want to, that's not neither here nor there today. What I want to share with you, though, is when I was very unhealthy for 10 years, I thought I was doing all the things to get healthy. But I didn't realize I was not willing, at that time at least, to change the things that needed to change the most in order for me to heal. And that was reducing stress, essentially in all of its forms. I was eating foods that were stressful on my body, right? I was still consuming dairy-based protein shakes because I wanted to build more muscle. Even though I wasn't healthy, still a priority was I wanted to be in great shape. So I was doing these shakes. That was setting me back a little bit. It's only one, right? It's just filling up the rain barrel. I was staying up late on the weekends with my friends because I didn't want to miss out on my time with my friends, especially in my early 20s. Okay, that's a problem. So then I wasn't getting the sleep I needed to heal. That's a problem. And then I would also eat poorly that night out with my friends and usually the next weekend or the next day on the weekends as well. Okay, that's not going to help. That's going to set me back a couple days. And so I was overtraining, overexercising. Like there were all of these things that I was doing. But for the framework, like, okay, well, I'm eating well most of the time and I'm doing this most of the time, I was not actually fully participating in what needed to be done in order to take my health to that highest level, to that next level. And again, I'm just one person, one example, but we have to start to identify if we are not getting an end result. First and foremost, do we really want it, right? Like, do we really want that? We might say that we want it. Oh, it'd be nice to have that. But if you don't really want it, it's most likely it's not going to come to fruition as well. And the reason is that whatever you truly want in this world, in this life, first it's going to take the visualization, that thought process. And then it's going to take consistent action on a daily basis in order to bring it into your world. Then after that, it's a lot easier to maintain. It is. But in the beginning, it's literally changing who you are, right? If you think about this, like a smoker doesn't smoke. Right? Like if you don't identify as a smoker, you're not going to smoke. Like I would never smoke. Why would I smoke? I'm not a smoker. I would never smoke. Right? But you might say, well, some people have an addiction. They do. It's a real thing. There's no doubt about that. But one of the biggest parts of the addiction is that you identify as being a smoker. Excuse me. Your whole family smoked. Your friends smoke. It's what you need to do to relax. Like it's what you need, right? You're telling yourself it's part of your identity. It's what you need. It's who you are. You're a smoker. A lot of us also in the health-based spaces, we're a X, Y, and Z. I'm a Lyme sufferer. I'm a mold sufferer. I'm a Epstein-Barr virus sufferer. I'm a migraine sufferer. I'm an alopecia sufferer. Like we make ourselves part of the victim. And we are. Like we're a victim of that. But if we identify as the victim, it makes it really difficult to break with that identity into becoming someone who doesn't have Lyme, mold, Epstein-Barr virus, etc. I had to do that myself. I was no longer able to have those conversations with people in the same group who are suffering from the same things. I'm like, I'm reinforcing every single day how sick I am. I can't continue to do that. That is not going to allow me then to think of myself as someone that is healthy. Now I identify as someone that's healthy. I identify as someone who doesn't get sick anymore. Now, again, keep in mind, this is someone who used to get sick every 2 weeks. I had pneumonia, as I say, it's the truth, 5 out of 6 winters in my early 20s. That's insane, right? Like as a young person to get pneumonia every single winter, it's not healthy. So now I identify as a healthy person. What do? The things that healthy people do. Get to bed early. Eat the proper foods. Get an exercise, not over-exercise. Like all of those things, reducing stress. Not perfect, but choosing to identify with something else. So what I ask you to do is this. Whatever your goal is, you have not achieved it yet, right? Like that's the truth. The truth is this. If you wouldn't set it as a goal if you'd already achieved it, which means now there's some block between you and it. Your job is to try to identify what it is. And if you're not able to, you just have to ask yourself, what is it that someone who would achieve this goal, the goal that you set for yourself, would have to do in order to get there? And then what I like people to do is change the body instead of changing the mind. It's so difficult to think about changing your mind and changing your thoughts. It's so challenging. I actually taught my oldest daughter this the other day. We start with the body. When you're stressed, what do? You go back to your breath. I taught her a simple breathing technique. All we need to do is change action first because it's so hard to change the thought. So what did I have to do? Okay, I'm not going to change my thoughts to all of a sudden convincing myself I'm a healthier person. What do? I get to bed earlier. So what's the action I need to take? Go to bed earlier. How do I do that? All right, work back 15 minutes every single week until I get to my goal. That's what I do, right? Taught that the other day, even just with intermittent fasting. You can do it intermittent fasting-wise. You can do it sleep-wise. So you start to change the actions that would get to the outcome that you want. And they don't worry that it has to happen within the next 30 days. The likelihood that you achieve your goal in the next 30 days based on your current trajectory is probably nil. So that's why you can take your time, knowing that it's going to happen much faster and on its own accord if you begin to take those actions. But here's the interesting part, is that when you start to take the actions, what do you begin to do? All of a sudden, you're taking the actions of someone that's trying to get healthy, improve the relationship, lose the weight, gain the weight, live longer, increase spirituality, improve your financial situation. You're doing the things that a person would do, not necessarily you, because you're not ready to change that identity yet, but a person would do in order to achieve that goal. Because to achieve the goal without changing the action would be insane. How would that happen? It's not like, again, I believe in miracles, but I don't know that that miracle is going to happen, right? So what I'm much more is pragmatic, okay? I don't necessarily, not able to change the mind, not even able to visualize the goal that I'm trying to achieve yet. But what I can do is I can start to change those actions. And little by little, once I take down this first action, I'll take down the next. And then these actions are going to lead to other actions. And before I know it, I'm identifying with a person that now does the things that need to get done in order to achieve the goal. Do you see how now achieving the goal seems far more likely because you are already doing the things that successful people do in order to achieve those hopes, dreams, and goals. So now you say, wow, I'm already well underway. Maybe, just maybe, I will be able to achieve those hopes, dreams, and goals. Now you begin to shift the identity. So we started with the body, the can-do, and now we switch to the mind, the believability, the visualization, now the hopes, the dreams, the daydreaming that, oh, wow, what if this is possible? What happens when I achieve this? What will life be like? And as you begin to make that shift, we teach this in IHP Mastery, and we just actually went over this, is that is what opens up possibilities. That is what allows you to actually begin to ignite and unite with the universe, with God, with whatever you choose to look at that physical form in your life, meaning taking the non-physical and making it physical, making it manifest in your life. You're taking something that never existed and you're creating that in your life, becoming the creator of your life, in your life, not the creator of the world, the universe, God, but the creator in your life, which is which I believe you were meant to be. But that only happens with changing your identity in order to get that new life. Because remember, your current identity is creating your life right now. So if we want a different life, we begin to shift our identity. And when we do that, absolutely anything is possible. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, the Cabral Concept. I appreciate you. I thank you. And as always, if the show was helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.